But guess what, Carol Massar?
What?
I mean, we started the day, markets looked like they were going to finish the day in the red, but as we get closer to the bells, kind of poking back into the green, at least for the Dow and the Russell and the S&P.
Yeah, rather pokey, right?
Yeah.
And almost call it unchanged. I've been looking at some of the energy names and utility names in particular that are in fact impacted by those West Coast fires, Southern California fires. Edison International, man, it is down about 12%. And you've got Sempra Energy down about 2%. So some concerns about, obviously what's going on there and their ability to handle the fires, but also the impact on them as well.
But not much conviction in today's trade at all. I mean, you look at the S&P 500, searching for direction for much of the day, moved between gains and losses, Scarlet, more than 24 times today?
Yeah, well, everyone's waiting for the jobs report to maybe kind of give us some sense of what's to come. But I suspect that won't be until January 20th when you really get a sense of what the incoming president will do with executive orders that will hint at the sequencing of his policy that people will really be able to make some more permanent bets.
I'm still really weirded out by the weakness in the semis, seemingly sort of out of nowhere. And you look at the moving averages, it's just weird. They're like all converging. It doesn't look really good. It looks kind of ugly.
Yeah, interesting day here in the markets. We talk about quite a few sectors actually in the green, but unfortunately the ones that matter were in the red. The net effect of it all is a market that we're just going to kind of call this one relatively unchanged. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is going to finish in the green. It's up by about 90 points, but that's only about 0.2%. The S&P 500, which spent most of the session in the red, is going to close in the green, higher by about 9 points or 0.1%. The Nasdaq is going to finish in the red, but only by less than 0.1%. And the Russell 2000, that was your primary laggard, but that was only down 0.5%.
All right, that's your read at the big board. Staying with the S&P 500, guys, despite little changed on the day, you do have about 290 names to the upside, some with some significant gains, Scarlet, and 209 names in the S&P 500 to the downside, also with some significant losses.
Yeah, and if you look at the sector breakdown, very much tilted to the green. You have 8 sectors gaining ground, 3 in decline. But what's notable here is that no sector moved more than 0.75%. Healthcare, materials, and consumer staples each gaining about 0.5%. They're the best performers. The worst performers are communication services down 0.75%. Energy and utilities basically unchanged at this point.
All right, guys, let's get to some of the individual gainers. Number one gainer.
Are these going to be good, Carol?
They are now.
Stay tuned, TBD. Your number one gainer in the S&P 500 is eBay. This is a good one, finishing the day with a gain of just almost 10% here, rallying after Meta Platforms offered to publish listings from the online auction company on its Facebook Marketplace service. We talked with our Pootam Goyal. She said, just keep in mind, this is a test. So we're going to have to watch to see if ultimately this is something longer term. But right now, investors really liking it and kicking that one up to the upside in a big way. Hey, GE Healthcare Technologies, this was a top gainer in both the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100, a gain of about 3.5%, upgraded to buy over at Jefferies, which encouraged investors to take advantage of a recent pullback in the company's share. They did raise the price target to $103 a share from $95. GE Healthcare finishing the day at $86 and change. And this one, a small cap mention, I might get some digs from Romaine as a result. Accolade, ticker is ACCD, and this share price surging 104%. This is after Transcarent agreed to acquire the healthcare services company for $7.03 per share in cash, representing a total equity valuation of about $621 million. It's just a reminder that stuff's going on. We have a lot of news coming at us from different areas, from D.C., from Wall Street, and so on and so forth, but some deals are happening going in and around the news cycle. That's why I mentioned it.
We've also been watching those devastating fires out there in Southern California, where thousands so far have evacuated. It's having an effect on some publicly traded companies as of right now. Edison International down more than 10%, the worst performer in the S&P 500 on a percentage basis today. It fell today the most since March of 2020. This is a result of what's happening out there in Southern California. Edison International Southern California utility is the largest in the region, though analysts do note that so far there haven't been any reports on utility equipment being involved in these fires. The company shut off electricity to about 136,000 homes and businesses in an effort to prevent wildfires and warned it may need to cut power to additional customers. Shares of Lyft falling by more than 6% today. This after Delta Airlines announced that it would replace the ride-sharing company and link its SkyMiles loyalty program to Uber a little later this year. So the new agreement is going to allow customers to link their Uber and SkyMiles accounts and then earn miles for eligible rides and deliveries. Morgan Stanley analyst Brian Nowak out with a note saying that the loss of Delta partnership poses risks to Lyft's growth strategy and achievability. Rigetti Computing, did you guys see what happened with quantum stocks today? Quantum computing stocks? Okay, this one down by more than 45% today. Among other companies that fell linked to quantum computing, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang said that very useful quantum computers are likely decades away. D-Wave Quantum fell more than 30%, Rigetti Computing falling more than 40%. Though we should note last year, this stock in particular was up by close to 1,500%.
Oh, wow. Okay, so resetting some expectations there. I'll let you finish today, Tim. It feels like a big moment for me. All right, taking a look at the bond market. You're seeing buying in the front end. You're seeing a whole lot of nothing happen in the long end. But it were the levels that we hit that were something. So the 20-year at one point hit 5%. We had that 30-year auction, 4.9% was the yield there. It was a strong bid to cover. The stops were the highest since 2007. It just shows like you hit that number, you hit near 5%, and there are buyers that want to come in for that. So it's going to be really interesting. The bond market is open tomorrow. It closes at 2 p.m. Equities are closed, so definitely watch that space in the long end.
All right. One of the things we are watching, or one of the spaces, is out in Vegas, right? CES, some really cool technology. We're all tech obsessed. On our radar, it's not at CES, but how about some lemon squeezing robots that are saving Chick-fil-A about 10,000 hours a week? Sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, so folks at Chick-fil-A, the folks who work there, were squeezing 2,000 lemons a day. Now they have machines squeezing as many as 1.6 million pounds of fruit, and there's hardly any human help. Makes me think of what they've done at Chipotle over the last few years with the avocado.
Oh, right, for guac, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Moving the human out of there so then they can focus on other things, and you got the robot making the guac.
You know, this facility is bigger than the average Costco store. And you guys know I'm obsessed with Costco. So that's roughly 190,000 square feet. And then it ships all these bags of juices to the Chick-fil-A stores where there is a role here for workers. They add water, they add sugar, and they make the lemonade.
I don't know. Can I just say something? I mean, the way we say it, like robots, it feels like they're like robots that are squeezing lemons, but it just looks like giant machine presses. No?
Yeah. What was that you were just doing? Can you do it
Robot.
again?
Robot. For those on radio, I'm doing a cool
robot.
thing
Like
with
auto
my
plants?
robot.
Those auto plant robots?
Yeah, but it looks like just a huge, like, you know, presser.
Like an Elon, like humanoid robot, right? Like with hands.
It's not that.
good
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Well, speaking of robots
it works.
and speaking of technology, you know, CES is showcasing a lot of smart dashboards, a lot of you know, extra things that I don't know anyone is asking for.
Yeah,
Do you want your
true.
dashboard to talk to you?
I don't.
And tell you all kinds of information as you're trying to keep your
I don't
eyes
want my
focused on
husband
the
to
road?
talk to me and tell me information while I'm trying to
How
keep my
about
eyes on the road.
interior lighting to reduce your motion sickness?
Do I need that? I don't know.
Or AI-powered voice assistants that are telling you where you're going?
Do I trust them?
I don't know. That's a good question. Romaine, you up for this?
I don't know. I'm too weak to talk. I'm sorry. I'm verklempt. Sorry.
You know,
AI help?
Romaine is not feeling well when you don't hear Romaine.
Can we get a robot to wheel him out when we're done?
I would love
Rather
that,
than wheel
actually.
Scarlet in, can we wheel
Squeeze me some
Oh,
lemon.
nice one.
Lemons and some hot tea. Can the Chick-fil-A robot do that?
But to Scarlett's
Chick-fil-A
point,
robot,
I feel like, remember when CES was like, this was the next tech thing and you were never going to see it unless you were at CES? Now it's like, who asked for that? Like,
Yeah.
who's asking for these things?
Kunjan Sabani was on our
Exactly.
program earlier, and I asked if he had a chance to walk the floor and check out some gadgets, and he shared some with us. He said he was really focused on the pet mental health gadgets, the pet wellness gadgets.
How did they do that?
Stuff that was totally out of reach for him as a consumer, and he's like, you wouldn't believe what they have here showing off for pets.
Yeah.
But
Who
how
reviews
does-
the
how does
product, the
that
pet
work?
or the owner of
I
the
don't
pet?
know.
For the pets. Haven't you seen like on Instagram, like those little pets in the like little pet spas and things?
No,
No,
I really
Carol
haven't
Massar,
seen
no.
that.
Carol's
He
algorithm.
gets a different feed than
this
we
is
do, yeah.
advanced civilization, right? Our pets
Yeah.
are. I want to be my pets when I come
Okay.
back.
I
would
I'll agree with
just
you
like
there.
my dog to stop eating, the Christmas tree needles off the floor. How about that?
Well, apparently
Send him
you
over to
can
our
go there.
place.
Maybe there's a machine that can help them do that.
All right, we could go so many different
You
places.
get mental health
but-
counseling for that.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. Our cross-platform, radio, TV, YouTube, Bloomberg Originals. We call it the closing bell. We will see you again, same time, same place tomorrow.